The Xbox mid-gen refresh is confirmed. This Xbox controller can transform. Did this exclusive just get a release date? Let's discuss. What's up, guys, and welcome to Xbox Already, the YouTube channel that is all about Xbox. I talk news, I talk rumors, I do little game reviews, a couple unboxings, I bring guests on the channel. So if you are an Xbox fan, or maybe you just got an Xbox and you're just getting into the fandom, the ecosystem, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe. First up, I want to give a shout out to all my San Antonio Spurs fans out there. San Antonio is my hometown. I grew up there, and I know a lot of you watching are also from the 210. Spurs fans are big up right now. They won the draft lottery. They're going to be drafting #1 overall, and by extension, they're going to be getting Victor Wembanyama, a 7'4" freak of basketball nature. It was an amazing way to start out my birthday weekend, but I'm talking about the wrong game, guys. I said this channel is all about Xbox, so let's get into Xbox. Next up, let's talk about this new crazy controller. Like, this controller is so confusing to me. Reviews are out for this new PowerA MOGA XP-Ultra controller, and that is just too many names, man. I don't know what it is with these accessory names, or it's got to be a billion different things packed into one title. MOGA XP-Ultra Ultimate Extravaganza P1 Final. This is a hybrid controller that you apparently can use with your Xbox, with your PC, with mobile cloud gaming, and it's also apparently, from what I've been reading, the first third-party controller that you can connect to your Xbox wirelessly. Now, this controller is just wild. It's just wild is all I can say. It has 4 different configurations, so you have the standard, like, Xbox wireless controller look, and then you can remove the middle if you want a smaller, more portable controller, and it also comes with the phone clip, so you can attach that clip to either the smaller version or the more complete version for 4 different types. It also apparently has 2 back paddles on the controller as well. But here's the kicker, guys, and here is what kind of sinks it for me. It's $130. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it is sort of cool that it has like a multi-purpose thing going on. But at the same time, it's like I can get a Razer Kishi or a freaking Backbone off of OfferUp or something like that, and probably have like a pretty decent mobile cloud gaming experience anyway, and then just hold on to my regular Xbox controllers. The middle part, the smaller version of this controller, is kind of weird to me too, and The Verge did a review of this, and they said ergonomically, even the full wireless controller portion is like not great. I just don't understand what this is attempting to replace. I mentioned the Backbone, I mentioned the Kishi, but those are a little bit more expensive. But if you wanted just a phone clip to stick on your Xbox wireless controller, you can get those separately for a lot cheaper than this controller as well. And it serves the same function. It's not like they're giving you a better version of the phone clip that's already been out there. And I guess the real kicker is that this apparently isn't compatible with iOS devices, only Android. According to The Verge, they say, as cliche as it may be, the XP Ultra is indeed the master of none. The sticks, buttons, and triggers are on par with other PowerA controllers, some of which I admire for their excellent mix of quality and value proposition, but I can't help feeling most people buying this controller may settle into using it in just 1 or 2 form factors. Now, maybe this could be cool if it was a little bit cheaper in terms of its price point, but for, over $100, you can get a much nicer controller, and you can get a phone clip to go with that nicer controller for probably less money than you would get for this. If you want to pick one up for yourself, though, it's available now through pretty much every retailer. I see it on Amazon, available to order. Next up, guys, we got to talk about everyone's favorite but not favorite thing to talk about, this next generation, the mid-gen refresh of the Xbox Series X and S. I feel like people's feelings are sort of split over a mid-gen refresh. Every time I bring it up or talk about it, people are like, what is the point? And there was the console shortage, and we haven't really even seen what these base consoles are capable of graphically, performance-wise. But whether or not you personally want a mid-gen refresh for these Xbox Series consoles, it looks more likely that they're gonna be coming out soon, if not inevitably coming out soon. On an earnings call, the CEO of Take-Two Interactive, the makers of Grand Theft Auto, had a very brief thing to say about the mid-gen consoles. He said, "We probably will see them soon." And if anyone knows the existence of, a PS5 Pro or an Xbox Series X Plus, it is probably the big wigs at these large video game publishing companies. Especially considering we got reports at the end of 2022 saying that the dev kits for the mid-gen refresh are out there to pretty much all of the major developers. Now, over on PS Ready, we talk a lot about all the rumors circulating around a PS5 Pro, a PS5 Slim. There are a lot of rumors, and they're good leaks too. Over on the Xbox side, though, we haven't really heard anything too major. I don't know if they're gonna do two different consoles, one Pro version of the Series S, one Pro version of the Series X, or they're just gonna come out with an in-between one, or they'll just do a freaking Series X Plus, digital. We don't really know. But there is mounting evidence that they are coming, and the timeline for these things is usually like midway through a console's life cycle. We're already 3 years into this generation, the PS5 and the Xbox Series. And for me, the general timeline of seeing a mid-gen console is like 4 years at the halfway mark into a console's life. We're coming up on that, guys. It'll be year 4 before we even know it. That is crazy to think about. It feels like just yesterday these things launched. But that same CEO went on to say that the last time a mid-gen refresh came out, it wasn't a big deal for the industry. That's referring to the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One S and X. I'm genuinely curious about how a mid-gen refresh would be received by the fan base, especially because now pretty much the console shortage is over. Anyone who wants either a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, I'm sure, most people have them at this point. And with the state of Xbox first-party titles, are people chomping at the bit for an upgraded version of the Series X? And while we haven't heard a lot about the mid-gen versions of the Xbox consoles, I can't imagine that they're not working on it, right? If PlayStation is going to release a Slim or a PS5 Pro, and Xbox is already lagging behind in terms of sales and hardware, I can't imagine that they wouldn't release something to compete with either a Pro or Slim model of the PlayStation 5. Next up, let's talk about the Activision Blizzard acquisition. Gaming Bible just recently put out an article saying that Microsoft may consider pulling games from the United Kingdom if they get approved everywhere else except for the UK. That's now a very real possibility considering they were just approved in Europe. They're trying to appeal the United Kingdom's decision, the CMA's decision, but we don't really have any updates on that. So yeah, we may be looking at a future where all the other countries of the world are cool with Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, except for the United Kingdom. And that raises the question, what does Microsoft do if that happens? I see a lot of extreme takes on this. People are like, you know what? Xbox should just stop doing business in the United Kingdom. And I'm over here thinking to myself, I don't know if that's a good idea, bro. They've sold a good amount of Xboxes in the United Kingdom. They reached a huge milestone the other day by hitting 2 million units. It's the fastest a console has sold 2 million in that market since the Nintendo Wii. So it doesn't seem like an amazing idea to just pull out of the market entirely. But Gaming Bible has instead suggested that Microsoft Xbox could just pull some of the games from the Activision Blizzard library from that market. They reference in this report an article by GameRanks, which in turn references a CNBC interview that involves Satya Nadella, where they basically asked him if he'd considered withholding products from the UK if the deal was approved in other territories, to which he responded, "Let's wait for it all to play out." Now, obviously, that's not a yes, but it's also not a no. But I'm also kind of like, that's not a great idea either. Again, there's a lot of Xbox fans in the United Kingdom, and I can't think of a better way to piss them off and maybe drive them to another platform if you're like, okay, all of these games from Activision Blizzard, you can't play because of something that is completely out of your control. The best we can hope for at this point is that, Xbox wins the appeal in the United Kingdom and they get this deal to go through and get approved by them, and they win this lawsuit with the FTC here in the US, so it just gets approved everywhere. They don't have to mix it up, pull games, pull products, pull services or whatever from different regions, because again, their fan base should not have to suffer for something that is not in their control. Next up, Xbox may be getting a highly celebrated PlayStation exclusive sometime soon. I'm referring to Stray. For those of you who do not know, Stray is the cat game that everyone was freaking out about last year. Stray recently received an ESRB rating for Xbox consoles, leading people to believe that it is making its way over to Xbox soon. Now, I played this game when it came out last year, and I gotta say, it was entertaining, it was charming. I wouldn't say it's a Game of the Year material, but it didn't stop it from getting nominated for that same award at the Game Awards last year. Like I mentioned earlier, in Stray, you play as a cat that is separated from its cat family, and it basically is plunged into the depths of the earth, and you're trying to get the cat to the surface back with its cat family. The thing is that getting to the surface in this time period is pretty much impossible. Or so all of the people in this world say, and all the people in this world are robots. There are no humans anymore. While I'm happy that this game is coming over to Xbox, I will say that there are some things on the PlayStation 5 that I really enjoyed about it, especially some of the DualSense features that they were incorporating. For example, you can go as the little cat and scratch things like, bedposts and carpet and things like that. And because of the adaptive triggers on the DualSense, it adjusts the pressure and adds vibration so it feels like you're kneading with little cat paws. So it's kind of a bummer that Xbox gamers are going to miss out on features like that, but you should still be able to appreciate and enjoy the game regardless. When this game came out, I played it on PlayStation Plus Extra, so I can't imagine that eventually when it comes to Xbox consoles, that it wouldn't also be added to Game Pass as well. This is another game that, it's nice to have. It's not going to save Xbox, but I feel like a lot of people will really enjoy it. And I also guess if it comes to Game Pass that it won't really help the argument or the criticism that people have of saying Game Pass only has old games. Either way, I do hope it ends up making its way to Xbox sometime soon. I have potentially good news for anyone who is wondering when the hell Forza Motorsport is going to be releasing. We've been kind of stuck in limbo when it comes to Motorsport ever since they did Developer Direct back in January. They were like, all of these games have release dates, even Starfield. We're even dropping a surprise game that you can play right now. But the big question lingering after that show was Forza Motorsport. They showed it off, but it didn't have a release date. There's been more and more stuff coming out, more evidence that it's going to be coming out in 2023 for sure. At what point in 2023? No one really knows, except for Mr. Matty Plays. Over on his Defining Duke podcast, he had some interesting things to say about a potential release window for Motorsport. At first, he was just kind of putting the pieces together. He was like, well, I think that, Motorsport slipped out of that fall release window into the holiday slot. And in that same interview that he was referencing, he mentioned that Phil said, we got Starfield, Forza, and Hellblade 2 in that order. And he was like, okay, that sounds kind of like specific when it comes to order, because we know that Starfield is coming out in September. And maybe Phil just has it on the brain like that is the order, like it's part of his subconscious now. Then he just came right out and said it. He was like, I have heard a little scoop, guys, that Forza Motorsport is going to be coming out in October. Now, obviously, none of this is set in stone. There's no official release date, but it could potentially be really big back-to-back months for Xbox if Starfield turns out to be everything that it's promised, and then the next month they drop Motorsport. Now, guys, I gotta be completely honest. Y'all know me at this point. I'm not a big racing game guy, so after Developer Direct, I was like, I'm not so sure about Redfall. I'm not quite, getting drawn into it yet. And then slightly above that in terms of my least hyped games was Forza Motorsport. I'm not saying that it is going to be a bad game or it's not going to be fun. It's just not something that I am particularly excited for. But like I just said, I'm not a big racing game guy. People usually get pretty mad when I talk about racing games like Forza Horizon 5. But regardless of my personal feelings, I know a lot of you guys are looking forward to it. And again, it could give Xbox a really strong string of months for the second half of 2023. If they do indeed release Starfield, followed by Motorsport, followed by Hellblade 2. Now, Hellblade 2 is also a question mark. A lot of people love the first game, but there was almost no pressure on the first game to be really good. It was kind of like a sleeper hit that blew up and everyone was like, oh my gosh, this is really awesome. But now it's a first-party Xbox title, and let's be honest, guys, there's a lot of pressure on Xbox right now to deliver with their first party. I personally wonder if Hellblade 2 will be received the same way as the first Hellblade. Me personally, when I played Hellblade, there were parts where I was like, whoa, this is awesome. And then there were parts I was like, man, this is boring. Of course, the facial animations that we've seen from Hellblade 2 look really cool, and that gameplay trailer they showed off last year was also really cool. And having those 3 first-party titles at a time when PlayStation is supposedly dropping Spider-Man 2 could go a long way in keeping Xbox in the conversation.